So I figured this would be a great time to do this video since we are starting to get off of that. Let it go. Happy Saturday, you guys. Today's video, I'm going to give you updates. I'm going to update you on my Naked Roots planter. I'm going to I'm going to update you on my irrigation system. I'm going to update you on my thrips. And some of the damage that was caused not by the thrips, but because I have the thrips, it's a me thing. We're going to talk about it. And some of the plants that I have been talking about lately because, you know, they've been going through some things. So before we get started though, let me introduce myself. My name is Yvette Boone. I'm a recovering software engineer and a lifelong creative hobbyist and plant enthusiast, and here perfection is not required. We are talking about my updates and what has gone, I don't want to say wrong, but kind of, and what we're doing and how we're thinking about it, right? Because it's really all about attitude, right? So let's get into the conversation. Let's get cozy and start to chat while I do some plant chores, because one of the things that I need to do is I need to get rid of, and what you are not seeing is the dead leaves falling off. I need to do some plant chores, and I need to talk about what has been going on with my plants since I have experienced thrips. It's not the thrips that is doing the damage, it's really me. So we can probably get into that one first. It's me. Having thrips in my collection, all my plants have not had thrips that I could see, but because I had plants that had thrips in my collection, as far as I'm concerned, all the plants in my collection are being treated for thrips. But what that does is that puts me in a space, and I kind of don't want to touch my plants. I don't want to get close to my plants because I'm like, ew, they're so little. They could be on me. Ugh. Like, they give me the heebie-jeebies. And it's something about knowing I have thrips in my collection. It just kind of has me in my feelings. So, yeah, I'm finding myself avoiding my plants, and I don't like that. The other thing too is that did I just spit on myself? I'm treating my plants with a sulfur treatment, and I'm not sure if the sulfur treatment is drying the plants out, or I don't know, but it feels to me like my plants seem to need more water. It's a weird thing. I don't understand it. I felt like I just watered this plant, and then I came back and I looked, and she literally has a full-on stem of nothing but dead leaves. Now, I find that weird. So I kind of want to cut all of this off and get all of the dead stuff. And the funny thing about it is that every branch is not doing this. It's just these couple in this area. So it's making me think that it's something related with the thrips. But anyway, I'm going to go through and I'm going to clean up. Okay, y'all probably going to see me doing this whole stop and thing because it's thrips and it's ugh. So yeah, we're gonna go through it. Let's just get all into it right now. Let's just do it. Let's just do it. Okay, so let's get into this because I don't really understand what's going on. You see all that black? I'm thinking, yeah, I really don't know what's going on. I'm gonna try to keep, wait a minute, hold on. Okay, I'm hot too. Okay, so I'm gonna try to keep everything in frame, but you might only be seeing a little part of me, and I might, yeah, figure that out later or change some things. But I kind of wanted you to see what I was doing. I got my scissors and I got some alcohol And I'm going to clean my scissors because, child, ooh, okay, that was a little aggressive. I don't know what I was thinking with that, but we just gonna clean everything up. And let's see, I really want to get all of it out of here because I don't trust none of it at this point. Wow. Okay. Yeah, that's the whole thing I pulled off. Now this part down here looks like it's still viable. I mean, I could try it and see. Let's see. I got some tweezers too that I like to use for this very thing. All right. So I'm just going to pull out, wait. Okay. See, I'm thinking all of that is dead, right? This is still attached. And I'm just going to clean up all of this stuff that's in here that could come out. And part of this is so I can see what all is happening, and whatever is damaged or needs to go needs to come from up out of here. We don't need to have no drama. Okay, so that seemed easy enough. It seemed like that was the biggest part of the plant that was cutting the fool. Now she is not, she's not doing poorly, to be fair. She just had that one little, okay, wait, we got some stuff going on right here too, which, like I said, is sort of weird because it just feels like it's just right. Okay, we're gonna cut off any leaf that looks weird. And okay, so let's talk about how we got here. Now, I did a video, I posted a live. Child, where y'all at? Where are you guys? Hey, remember me? Okay, so I posted a live a couple of weeks ago, you know, letting you guys know that I had thrips and what my plan to take care of the thrips was. And I have been doing that very thing. So it's been about 30 days. I did the video on the 2nd. I did the video on the 2nd. I'm gonna cut all the way up here because all of that looks a little shaky to me. I did the video on the 2nd, and I'm cutting off every leaf that looks a little weird to me. And the reason I'm doing that is because, like I said, thrips can put their baby, oh geez, here we go again. Okay, so I'm gonna stop touching this plant now because she's oozing. Okay, so I cut all of that dead material off. This is what I have to throw away. I am going to let this callus, and I'm going to propagate her. So I'm gonna cut, oh yeah, she's good. I'm gonna cut these bottom leaves off because I want to give her enough space to propagate, to form roots. And I also have a node here, so maybe she'll push out some roots along this place here. So I'm gonna let this callus, she looks like she got a little bit of a growth point right there, so that's gonna be fine. Now I'm gonna clean my scissors off and throw this out. Okay, so what was I? Okay, I don't know if I need to start this all over again or not, but you know what, we're not, because perfection is not required. I'm gonna pay attention to the camera so I can see when it starts to drift off. It's like she going to sleep. Child, come on now. Okay, so what happened? When I found out I had thrips, I found that I was not, even though I was checking on my plants, it wasn't as vigorous as I used to. I used to pick them up and look at all the leaves and check for new growth. And to be fair, I just stopped looking at my plants because I didn't want to see the thrips. So I just stopped looking. So that has been a bit of a problem. And it has shown up in a couple of my plants, not a lot, but let me go get another plant that it has shown up in. So this is my kulana, and she actually started growing. When I first got her, she was budding all over the place. She actually has a peduncle right here, which is good because she just had blooms everywhere, and she bloomed, and then something happened. I don't think it was something bad. It was just, you know, life, and she stopped blooming. And at first I didn't think anything of it because she seemed to be still growing, and then I noticed she wasn't growing any longer, and I'm like, okay, what is going on? Matter of fact, she's got a peduncle right here too. Oh, can you see that? Oh, now I gotta find it again. Oh, she got several peduncles. Okay, so what I'm noticing now is that she does have more peduncles than I thought she did. I have never seen a thrip on this, but for whatever reason, she was feeling like she wasn't doing much. But I am noticing that she has way more growth. New leaves. Here's some new leaves here. You can almost tell the new leaves because they don't have any treatment on them, and I just treated her, maybe it's been probably less than 10 days for sure, about a week maybe. So I'm thinking we're doing good now, which is great. She's got some new leaves down here too, which is perfect. I will say I do miss the leaves on her, like miss the new leaves. And I think partly because the difference in the color is not that much, so I sort of kind of miss it. But I think part of the reason I'm missing a lot of the new growth that's happening in my plants is because I don't want to touch them because of the stupid thrips. But I haven't seen anything on this plant, so I think she's pretty safe. But oh, there's a new leaf. Look at that. If you like this content, don't forget to hit that like button. And because you like this content, you would absolutely love our community. Hit that subscribe button, and for a deeper connection, just sign up for my newsletter. Link is in the description. All right, let's get back into it. Oh, Lord. Right where my finger is. You see that? But I see several peduncles up here at the top. So I think she's gonna be probably blooming soon. Okay, so this is my jungle boogie, and as you can see, I have new leaves, which is always a good thing. She probably is doing better than I want to give her credit for, but I am losing a lot of the new leaves that are coming in. It's like I will see 3 or 4 leaves come in, and I might lose 2 of them. 2 out of the 3, which is not great. In my opinion, this thing should be doing a lot better. She's got roots down here. She's not doing terrible. I love the fact that she has new leaves coming out, but I cannot seem to keep this soil, this moss pole moist enough. She's even got a new growth coming out here. So I love that because I had a beautiful leaf coming out the top and I killed it. I don't know how I killed it because she was doing fine, and then I think she dried out too much. So this is what I'm noticing. The irrigation system is working fantastic, by the way. I love and I'm gonna be looking at this plant while I'm talking. I love the app. I love the fact that I can use the app to just do a spray just because, right? It doesn't have to be on the schedule, but she's actually scheduled to water the moss pole Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and you can set how much water by how much time it pushes water out. What I'm realizing is that I need to increase the time frame. So I did increase it once or twice already. I think twice. Once I increased it from Tuesday and Thursday to Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and then I increased the amount of time that it pushes out water. Girl, one time I had the nozzle, I forgot I had taken it off to show you guys something, and I had the nozzle sitting on the shelf, and I heard this noise, and I'm like, it took me a second for it to register what that noise was, and then I looked and it was just water just squirting everywhere. I was like, Lord have mercy, no wonder she ain't getting water. She ain't even together. So anywho, I need to I need to do a better job of watering it, because as you can see, she is super dry at the top, somewhat sort of watered at the bottom, but in reality, like, she's a little too crunchy for me. She's not as crunchy as she was when I was watering her by hand, but she's still not there. But I do have new leaves. They are smaller, but at least they did come out, and she's got another one here. So I'm gonna take her in the bathroom now. I am going to water her. And then what I'll do is I will increase the time on my watering to whatever the amount of time is that I'm watering for the day. I'm going to increase it by like another maybe 5 or 10 seconds. What I'm wanting to do is to have the irrigation system to exclusively water it. And I was hoping that I would have enough water in it to be able to water the bottom as well, but I'm thinking that's not happening. So I'm gonna take her in the bathroom and water her now, because, and this is what happened the last time when I watered her in the bathroom, that's when she started pushing out new growth. And then I thought, oh, she's fine, because the watering system is going to keep up with her watering, but I still don't think it's enough. So I'm gonna take her in here now, water her down, because I do want to get some treatment on these new fresh leaves, because that is what the thrips actually love, are these new baby leaves that are coming out. So I'm going to treat this so that we don't have to worry about that. And oh, I just realized she just pushed out a whole new, look at this. There's a whole new lead in here. It's a whole new stem. So she only had one, and now she pushed out this other one. So she's growing. She is probably pissed at me like, girl, what are you doing with your life? But she looks like she wants to push out something up here. So what might end up happening is that I might have to cut this one to push some new growth from the bottom, because all of this down here is pretty much from here, from this leaf down to this one is just bare. It's nothing there. It's a bunch of nodes but no leaves, because they all were pushed out and then they all died off. So yeah, she's actually got some new growth right here too. So she's progressing. What I'm realizing is that she is a lot more work than I have right now, and because I am coordinating this move and this whole process of reducing my life down to 2 suitcases, and I'm being facetious when I say that, but almost not really. I am reducing my life down to crash on somebody's couch. I know it sounds crazy, but so me doing that means that my collection is going to have to change. And it doesn't necessarily have to be by the plant, but it needs to be how I can care for my plants. Now, I'm still available to take care of my plants. I just know that I need to have it, the care needs to be easy enough that I can hand it off to somebody else if I need to for a little bit, and I won't miss a beat, and that my plants won't suffer, right? They can probably go a week or two without water if I set things up a certain kind of way. So I want to do it that way. This plant right here, even though she's on an irrigation system, she should probably be the easiest to care for. She's turning out not to be so easy. So I just either need to fix my schedule, or she might have to be one that goes. But for now, I'm going to take her in the bathroom and I'm going to give her a treatment so that she can get some sulfur on those new leaves. And when I come back, we're going to talk about the naked root planter. Okay, let me show you her in her entirety. She is so big now, she does not fit all the way on the camera. But what's the point if she looks like the saddest thing? Okay, so let's talk about, is that a hole? That is literally a hole. Okay, let's talk about what's going on with her. Like I said in the last video, I think when I was leaving to go out of town, I think I walked past and I must have, you know how your bag hit stuff behind you? I think my bag must have hit the plant and all the bottom leaves just decided to drop off, okay? So I'm going to just kind of peel them off. I was going to cut, but they look like they're just peeling off. And of course, the minute I say that one, this one decides she didn't want to peel off. I like taking the whole thing off though, because then buggies can't hide in a little crevice. But the bottom 4 leaves on this whole stem is just like, girl. So we are cleaning up all of this stuff because I don't know about you, but it kind of makes me a little sad when my plants just have dead material on it for no reason. So I'm going to put all of this in the trash and I'm going to take that trash out. I've only seen ideal images of this plant, so it's really hard for me to know that whether my plant is actually doing well. Now, one thing I do know about different Bacchias is sometimes their leaves this is normal for their leaves to look like that, but she just feels a little sporadic to me. She feels sort of like, girl, okay. But I'm not tripping. She's still growing. She's still pushing out new leaves, and she also has this little, sidekick here who is growing and pushing off new babies every time too. So let me tell you, my life is a series of what had happened was. So let me tell you what had happened. What had happened was I have the camouflage on a schedule, right? Let me get it so you can see her. I have her on a schedule, and she was supposed to be watered today, actually. And I know I took her in the bathroom. I thought the day I took her in the bathroom was the day she needed to be watered. But apparently, I don't know. Anyway, I took her in the bathroom to put a treatment on her, and I was being real careful about her watering. And so I watered her. Everything was great. And then I put her back. I'm minding my own business. And she is still sort of semi-wet. If you look at the soil is still dark. She's got a little bit of water here at the bottom. You can see her roots pushing out. Like she's got roots, viable roots here. I'm not concerned about whether or not she's rotted or anything. However, she's supposed to be getting watered today and she's still wet. Not even like just moist. Her soil is still wet. So something went wrong. Either I got my dates mixed up, so I have watered her when she didn't need her to be watered, I don't know, child. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to let her dry out completely. Her bottom, she doesn't have any water at the bottom, but it's still wet. I'm gonna give it another day or so, and then I'm going to add her dry cycle to that number, and I'm gonna change when I water her from now on, because for whatever reason I somehow got her mixed up. I literally put her on my calendar, and however many days it was supposed to be between each watering, I scheduled it for indefinitely, and now it's off. And so I don't know how it got off, other than the fact that I knew I needed to treat her, and I treated her. But when I treated her, I made sure that I did not get water in her soil. I didn't, if I did, it was just a little bit. It should not have been enough to keep her still wet for this long. So I don't know what I did. Girl, sometimes when I be treating, I'm like, everybody in this club getting tipsy. So you getting some, you getting some, you get a car, you get a car. And it is what it is. So she seems to be doing fine with the watering. I'm definitely not going to water her knowing that she's still wet, but I'm a give her back her dry cycle, and then we'll just change the dates from then on out. So I will keep the same schedule, but yeah, I'm going to have to change the dates on there. Okay, so that's what's going on with that. Now, I still do have an 8-inch planter, because this is the naked root planter here. I did a full-on video of when I potted her up. She's been now in this pot, it's been a couple months. I want to say at least 2 months, right? And she's been doing pretty good. I think I have an issue with Dieffenbachias. The only one I've actually ever been able to keep alive is the very common one. I think it's the Marianne. I also have, and I'm kind of scared to bring her around this plant because she was the one I know had Thrips for sure. But this is my other Dieffenbachia. This is my Sterling. She's actually doing way better now than she was in the beginning because, honey, I have sprayed her to 1 inch of her life. Do you hear me? She has been treated several times, but it's time again to go and treat her with the sulfur because she doesn't have any on the new leaves. But she seems to be doing good. This is the most growth I've had. Can you not see me? This is the most growth that I've had on the Sterling since I had her. She also has a new leaf coming up back up in here. She's got a little kickstand that is taking its dear sweet time to push out some new growth. I'm sort of loving the fact that she's growing back, but I also realize that she is one that she has given me a run for my money. I have gone through several iterations because I cut about 3 or 4 pieces to this stem and every one of the cuttings died off. And so that was a little disappointing. I just happened to keep this in here because I knew that if I kept a piece that already had roots, I would have a good chance of keeping it alive, which I did, only to find out that she had thrips. So she has been through a lot, but she has also come through a lot. Now, with that said, I wouldn't give myself a lot of credit when it comes to keeping Dieffenbachias, but I love them. I really do. I love them. I love that each baby comes with a new baby. I love that. And I would love to keep her alive, but both of these actually, but they're both sort of giving me a little bit of a run for a challenge, which I love that, to be fair. But yeah, so I said all that to say, I don't even know why I said all that, but I have another planter. I have an 8-inch planter and I have a 3-inch planter. And I am going to take I'm thinking I might put my Bellas in the 3-inch planter, right? Because they're both in like maybe 2-inch planters and they're drying out like within about 8 days. So I would love to put them in a larger planter. Plus it would be a lot easier to keep them watered because they would be in a planter that you know, could handle that. The other thing is I have an 8-inch. So I'm trying to think of what other plant that I have that is, I don't want to say weird, but one of those plants that I struggle with watering. And I would say it would be my, man, I tell you, these babies love to hug on each other. Stop it. Let it go. She'll be back. Is my Mandula. So I have been keeping up with my watering on my Mandula, thank goodness, right? But as you see, she's got some normal, you know, dead leaves. And since today is the day where we are taking care of that, it'd be a good idea for me to just bring her on camera and clean her up really well. And this is how I like to do it because, you know, why not? So sometimes when I'm not on camera, I will just come through and pick off all of the dying leaves. I usually try to wait until they're actually ready to go. But because I am dealing with thrips, I don't mind getting rid of some of these yellowing ones because I'm not really sure if they're yellowing because of the thrips or because of something else. So I don't mind getting rid of them at this stage. And it helps me to, you know, make sure that everything is still going well. So I'm getting rid of all of this debris in here. So this is the perfect tool. These is like some, I don't know, plant tweezers. And it helps me to do the business without sticking my hand in there. And you know, it usually is not that big of a deal when you have a plant that's sort of super like flimsy or what's the word? What's the word called? Flexible, right? But with the Mandula, they are pretty rigid. And if you go in and just try to debo your way in there and pulling out stuff, you're gonna break a lot of leaves. You're gonna damage the plant quite a bit. So I like using this for that reason. And I'm just looking for any like dead, you know, dead material. I'm not so right now pulling off any just damaged ones. They pretty much need to be dying. So she's looking pretty good. She's looking really good actually, because you know she was struggling at one point. I was really contemplating on whether or not she was gonna stay in the collection, but she's doing really, really well. I thought I saw something up there. She's doing really well. I'm super proud of her. She looks good. She's definitely polka dotted because she has been treated. I ain't playing with this stuff. She has been treated, but I see another one in here. She kind of hidden. They can hide their little bad leaves in here, boy. But yeah, I'm trying to get rid of as many of them as I can because like I said, I have experienced some thrips, so, and they like to put their babies inside of the leaves. So if you have some dying or dead leaves, it'd be a good idea to get them out because you don't know why that leaf is dying. It could be because of the thrips. At this point, I ain't got time to be trying to figure that out. I'm just getting rid of everything. Okay, so I'm gonna take her back, put her back where she was. As you can see her roots at the bottom. But I'm thinking she's gonna need a support sometime really soon. So I think I'm going to hold on to some of the support sticks that I have, and I'm gonna put a support for her very soon because she's wobbling something terrible, and I don't like that. And I don't think they like that either. I think they like to feel pretty secure. So I'm gonna be putting a support stick on her soon. Here's another one that this random yellow leaf action going on. I don't quite understand what's going on with this. Why is it, and it's like on different vines, but in this same region. That has me a little concerned. So I'm going to get rid of this other stuff first. Hold on. Now I just watered this bad boy last week and she's already feeling kind of lightweight. I'm not quite understanding what's going on. But baby, this global green is having her whole life got. Do you hear me? She is getting her whole life. But we're going to clean her up because she's experiencing something. I'm not sure what it is, but we're going to get rid of all these dead leaves in here. So this is one that's always been outside of this room. She's never really experienced this plant space, partly because I felt like, she was, can you see me? Okay. I felt like she was, didn't need as much light. And so because of that, it was okay that she could spend, I keep hearing stuff cracking. And that's not a good sound when it comes to this one and the Mandula. Whenever you hear cracking like that, that could be the stems popping. And so you got to be careful with these because that's not always a good thing. So anywho, she kind of gives me Mandula vibes, but just, of course with not the variegation, that color variegation anyway. So she has been doing pretty good. No complaints. She's been growing really well, but she has this weird yellowing in the same vicinity but on different stems. So it's kind of like, what is going on with that? Not the oldest leaves, not the newest leaves, just, yeah. She did not get propagated this year. She's never been propagated, to be fair. I think partly because the curling of her leaf sort of, yeah, she is, she probably could do with another watering, but I'm like, girl, I don't normally water you that early. So that's one of the things that I think has gotten me a little concerned. I'm like, is this sulfur treatment drying out my plants? I don't think so, but something is causing them to need, it feels like some of them are drying out really quickly, like quicker than they normally would. Now, I'm not seeing any damage or anything. But I do like, now see that's concerning, where this is a brand new leaf. A brand new leaf, and it's just dead like that. That's a little concerning. But like I said, she has been treated. She has been treated, so I don't expect that if she did have thrips, that she still, has an active growing community. I think if she had thrips, then they dying off just like the other ones are dying off. But this is just going to encourage me at some point to want to cut and propagate. Whereas I was sort of like just letting it do what it do, which is not like me, because she got a whole area back here that could use some TLC. But she looks good though. She looks good, and the variegation on her is amazing. So she doesn't get a lot of light, bright light. I think in her new location, I think she is going to love that. I would love for these leaves to come in bigger than this. These little baby leaves ain't giving. But I do realize that I feel like when she was supported, like when she was growing and her branches were sitting on the windowsill, those, you notice these leaves are a lot bigger than the ones where she was hanging. So I think she doesn't mind being supported by the floor. She still will push out bigger leaves if she's supported by the floor. But yeah, I think she's still doing good. I'm still enjoying her. But I'm tripping the fact that she feels like she needs to be watered again. Whenever I come to, here's a big old dead leaf right here. Whenever I come to this conclusion like this, where I feel like, oh, she probably needs to be watered again, like she could use a watering right now, I just give it another 2 or 3 days, and then I come back and check her again. And if I still feel that same way, I give her another 2 or 3 days, because I would rather underwater than overwater. I'm looking at her. She's not pushing out crispy bits, but she is pushing out smaller leaves. So I'm going to just drape her, and we're going to keep her pushing. It's my global green. It feels weird not to be propagating something. And I do need to pot up my propagations. So I guess that is one thing I could probably update you guys on, is my propagations and how they are doing. All right. These, of course, are my Moonlight Trubii propagations. And look at those roots. This is ridiculous. Let me tell you, I can't say this enough. The Moonlight Trubii is a beast when it comes to roots. If you love roots, if you love looking at roots and you love watching how thick roots grow, get you a Moonlight Trubii and put that bad boy in a clear pot, because that is life. I love that. And it hasn't even started pushing off secondary roots yet. So I love that. I love that for her. I love that for me. Same here. This is even more. Oh, what? Wait a minute, you guys. I thought I had gotten rid of that. Okay, so I have a leafless tendril right here that has a nice, big, pretty root. Hasn't pushed out anything yet from that little barnacle, but remember the little curled piece that I had? I thought I threw it out, but apparently I didn't. It dropped in here, and I thought I had given up hope, but look at that. It's starting to root. So it's pushing out a root, right? Love it. I'm going to keep it back down there. I'm going to let it do what it do. It was doing what it needed to do down there. I'm going to let it continue. But I want to show you something else, because, and it's with the Synapsis. Hold on. Okay, so this is the Silver Hero Synapsis, and once again, I'm just doing a little quick little checky check. Everything is going well. This is my propagations that I took earlier this year. I usually do a really good job of making sure that I put my propagations in the right directions, but sometimes it gets a little tricky. Well, apparently I didn't get it completely right, because it has a whole leaf or two, it looks like, that is growing in the soil. So apparently I must have had 2 nodes on a cutting, and I must have buried one of them, and it started pushing out leaf material. So when I go to repot this, because what I'm going to do is, before I leave out of here, I'm going to repot my propagations up, so I'm not taking these smaller plants. I'm sort of torn, because I feel like it's going to go through a shock. But real talk, I'm not moving the plants across the country. It's like a 3-hour drive. I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. But I do want to repot. This is the only propagation I have of, or the only cup of propagations that I have for the Silver Hero. But the mother plant is still in a 4-inch pot. So what's going to happen is I'm going to upgrade that whole thing. Oh, we got a new baby. I'm going to upgrade that whole thing. Oh, we got a new baby here too. I'm going to upgrade that whole thing to a 5-inch pot. So I'm excited about that, because you know, I wanted her to be bushy like my jade that I'm about to bring to the table right now. But yeah, I thought that was really kind of fun and weird that, yeah, it's pushing out a whole thing. It ain't even, it's like air. I don't need air. I'm fine. I'm cool. I'm okay. And I'm gonna find where the sun is. Even though it's a clear pot, it's still going up towards where the air is. So this thing wants to live. This is how badly it wants to live. So I have been trying to let it get some air time. But as you see, her roots are ridiculous. The roots on this Synapsis, man, life, okay? Life and life more abundantly. So yeah, I think what I'm gonna do, what I did was I chose a lot of these because the leaves were already yellowing, and I was like, okay, look, I'm not gonna like the way that looks on the plant anyway. Let me see if I can get some roots and maybe it'll start pushing out some new growth. So I'm not mad that these leaves will probably die off. I really am not upset about that. I'm okay with that. So that just means that I will have a little bit more stem to plant. But she is not playing, honey. She got roots everywhere. Some of the roots are so big it looks like the stem. Look at that. The root is so thick that it's starting to look like the stem. So yeah, I can't wait to plant these up. I have been purposefully leaving some of this and not having all of it in water because that's weird. It looks like the bottom of it rotted. Look at that root right there. Looks like the bottom of it rotted. This is a root. This whole thing is a root. I left some of it out of the water so that the root could actually get some air. But it looks like it being in the water rotted. That is weird. I'm going to have to really look at that to see if that's what's going on. But I'm thinking that's what's happening. Oh yeah. I'm going to cut that off. And I'm going to leave it out of the water. I'm not going to put it back in the water. Okay, let me clean that. Okay. Okay, this is another thrilling update. I won't update you on every propagation because, girl, we'll be here all day. But I did want to show you what was going on with my twin flames here. So I have two babies. Girl, why my phone died? Okay, so we're gonna have to make this quick, which nothing with me is quick. But this, yeah, I wanted to kind of give you an update on the globulosa. She is doing fantastic. She got some new babies coming out, 2 of them coming out at one time. So I'm thinking that the leaves are not going to be as big as the latest new leaf or the previous new leaf, but I'm not really sure. So we'll see. We'll see what that's gonna do. As far as the other plants in my collection, I don't have too many plants that are not doing well. Like, I have another plant that is, so this is another one, although you can't really tell by looking at her that she is shedding some leaves, but she kind of is. I think it might be part of just, you know, the fact that this plant has a lot of leaves, and so when she starts losing leaves, it's gonna feel like a lot. But I also feel like there were times that I went to go water her, and it might have been her regular normal watering time, and she seemed to be super dry. So she's doing okay now because I watered her recently, like within the last maybe 5 days or so, but I don't know, child. I'm gonna have to keep my eye on her. She right now is not flowering, but before she has been flowering regularly for like the last couple months. Like, it's rare that I look at her and she doesn't have any flowers. She's got a lot of spent flowers down here that you can't see, but it's rare that she's not flowering, but this is one of those times when she's actually not flowering. But she's doing okay. And I never miss an opportunity to show this plant because she is forever giving. I'm gonna try not to spill, but she's got flowers. She's got 2. I feel like she had another peduncle somewhere that's just not Oh, she does. She's got another peduncle right here that's actually not flowering. She has not really pushed out any new leaves, but she has been pushing out flowers on a regular basis. Now, I haven't seen anything on her as far as like thrips, but I've been keeping her, you know, fairly watered. She probably needs water about once every eight or so days. I let it dry out and then I give her a good soaking, and so she keeps producing more flowers. So she's doing okay. I'm not complaining about her at all. The little flowers are super cute. I love it. Boy, it normally does not take me that long to get her out, but yeah, I'm kind of feeling like I don't want to keep putting her back in that. It's annoying trying to get her in and out. But I don't see any thrips, or at least not any adult thrips. It's really hard to see the baby thrips or the white thrips when you have the sulfur treatment on them. But I also see a couple of little leaves down here that don't have any treatment on them, so they probably are fairly new. I'm looking at the soil. The soil is pretty dry. One thing I will say is having my plants in hanging baskets that are hard to get the plant out of makes me not want to water them. I don't want to go through the drama of taking them out. So I'm gonna have to come up with something different, because otherwise she's gonna end up being neglected. But I'm looking at these roots and I think she's doing okay. I think she would like to probably not dry out as much. So I'm gonna take her in the bathroom and water her. But I also want to check on jeez Louise. Man, they running your girl crazy. This is part of the reason why I end up cutting this one, because I hated taking her out of the stupid container. So when you don't have the long tendrils to deal with, it makes it a lot easier to take them out. And her roots are ridiculous. Like this is bananas. I'm seeing something down here though. Like that looks like a little bit of rot. That's kind of scary. But look at that. Those roots are ridiculous. That is crazy. That is all root, baby. All right, so yeah, she's got a couple of yellowing leaves in here. I'm gonna go in and take these out. Like I said, normally I let them just brown up, but I really can't tell you what's thrip damage and what's not. So I'm just taking no chances and I'm getting rid of all the things. Now, some of these yellow leaves, I normally just let them stay on, but that one don't want to come off. She like, look, I live here. You don't come in my house telling me who belong. Yeah, she not giving up. She said, I paid rent for the end of the month, so I'm staying. So I got a couple that I can tell are not gonna stay much longer. This one, this one, this one. You can really tell from the back which ones are not gonna be here much longer. But I wanna add those other moonlight pieces in with this. And we gonna, I knew I saw something near me. Get away. We are going to add those in with this and get this even fuller. I think I can upsize this pot too. This is like a 6-inch. Maybe I can upgrade her to an 8-inch pot. That would be perfect. Because if I can get all of my POTHOS, synapses, whatever, in big 8-inch pots, I think that would that would be perfect. I see a lot of new growth coming on. So I'm gonna take these two in the bathroom. I'm gonna water them, spray them, so they'll be ready. Ooh, we got a new leaf coming. Spray them and they will be ready to come back in here. I think everything else over here has been watered recently. So short of me just going through and picking off a couple of yellow leaves off a couple more plants and then sweeping all of the dead carcasses out of here, because a lot of what I do is I'll go through, you can't see them. You can see them down here on the floor. Is I will go through and pick the yellow leaves off and just throw them on the floor, then come in and sweep the whole floor up. Since I already have like little flowers that will be spent and they'll fall on the floor, I just go in and just throw them on the floor and then sweep them all up at one time. So I got a couple more plants. I got a couple more synapsises. Is that how you say that? That need to be pull some of the yellow leaves off, and then I'll be done with caring for and sort of just kind of what I do to maintain my thrip treatment. This is part of the process, is getting rid of all of the spent leaves and taking them out and putting them out in the trash. Don't leave them in my trash thinking that the thrips are not gonna crawl out of there and come back over here, because they will. So I'm gonna take the trash out, and because the trash man comes on Monday. So this has been good, even though I did lose power. My phone died in the middle of me recording. It's not the end of the world. Like I said, here on this channel, perfection is not required of me nor of you. I did want to do a birthday shout out. This is a special birthday shout out. Happy birthday, Alexis. As you guys know, I did a birthday live. It wasn't for my birthday, but it was on my birthday. I did a birthday live last week. So if you missed that, check in the description. There will be a link to that live. It was a good couple of hours. We had fun, okay? So I did a birthday live recently, and that's really all I have for today. So if no one else has said it to you today, have a great day. Bye. Beautimous, right? Except for that part. Ooh. Okay. This leaf down here is yellowing too, but she still has some green on her. So I'm gonna leave. What is that flying? Oh, no. We're not doing that. Okay. It is. It's a fungus gnat in here. Get away from me. Yeah, no. I ain't about that life.